Well, hello YouTube. I guess I got her. I thought I could lay back in the weeds and just watch you guys' videos, but that darn shop dog Sam, he picked me to put out my favorite tool video. I don't know what to say about it, other than he said some nice things about me. So I guess we'll start out here in the shop. I'll have to make a couple different videos. It's kind of cold out here. Not real cold, but my fingers are cold. I've been out here a while. We'll start with my biggest favorite tool. This is a 1921 South Bend lathe. I traded a couple tractors for it. In fact, I traded part of the undertiller for it, and the guy never come and got it, so that's why I made the undertiller out of what was left. Well, here you go. I want to also, this guy out there on YouTube has just gotten a new lathe he inherited from his mother-in-law, and I tried to tell him that that lathe had a back gear on it. I'll show him what I mean with the back gear on my South Bend here, if I can get it to come in. It's kind of dark in here. Well, here we go. I contacted the South Bend company and gave them the serial number for my lathe, and they said that this lathe was delivered in 1921 to the 3M company in Minneapolis, which I would think would be the 3M tape company. That's all I could find out about it. It had a 6-foot bed originally, and somewhere along the life of it, it got changed down to this 5-foot bed. Here we go. Hang on there. She's a big old fart. I do have one video of it working on there on YouTube. She's a 15-inch swing, and I think with a shorter bed I can get 4 foot between centers. There's another one of my favorite tools is a old Weldpack 100 Lincoln. One my boy bought when he was in high school, and he's never taken away yet. I hope he never does, but someday he might say, "Dad, I need my welder." Well, there's my toolbox. It's all covered up. That was when I was the big shop mechanic. Had to buy the big toolbox, big old Matco. Then I got canned from that job because it went out of business. So I had to pour a spot of cement in my floor just for my toolbox. Other than that, it's all dirt floor in here, which makes everything get kind of dirty when the wind blows under the doors. Oh, here you go. I got a 1/2 horse motor on it. Got a jack shaft up here that converts the belt pulley from the motor to the flat belt here. Got a belt tightener here. Made this flat belt. There's my seam right there. Oh, let's turn around. Here's my switch down here. I got forward and reverse. There, we locked her in. There we got the 4-jaw chuck on there. It's been a pretty decent old lathe. I made a lot of drive shafts out of it, off of it. Kick her into gear here. But everybody knows what a lathe is probably, so I don't want to stick too much time on here. Tighten the clutch down here, and away she goes. Got a automatic cross feed on it too. All these different switches and levers. I had to make a tool post for it. I never did make a very good one. This is just a temporary one because I didn't get one with it. Did get a live center with it. Oh, let's loosen the clutch. I gotta show this guy how to set that lathe in back gear. There we got reverse. Anyway, I told him if you look behind the chuck, he might see a bolt back there. Well, if you loosen that bolt up back here, this is in the guard behind the chuck. loosen that bolt up and it'll slide down, and then you tighten it back up again. That freewheels the chuck from the main pulley. See, now the main pulley is not connected to the chuck. So we'll turn her back on. Tighten up the belt. Oh, wait, we got to put her in back gear. This lever back here is the back gear. It's got a shroud around it. Okay, there, we just put her in back gear. See the lever there? Now when you tighten her up, that's how slow your truck goes. That's back gear. I hope he understands this, or somebody can get the message to him. Then you can really do some cutting with that baby in back gear. You got all kinds of power. I'll shut her down, change her back again. And there's a lever to take it out and in. Get my bolt lined up here again. There it is. Now you got to find the notch that goes into. Turn the drum. Okay, she's up in the notch. And you tighten her back up again. Now she's out of back gear. See, the chuck turns with the pulley hub now. If you put it in back gear now, it just locks everything up solid. One thing nice about it, if you put it in back gear and the chuck is on here too tight because it screws on and off, you can actually get a bar on there and take the chuck off. That is what I meant by back gear. I hope word gets to him if he didn't know it was on there. It'd be a big help to him. But you got to be really careful with these blades. You never turn your back on them, because just when you think you're doing good, something's going to happen and there's no stopping it. I didn't get no reverse gear with this lathe either. So if anybody knows where I can get a south bend gear, I need a gear just like this one here. Goes in this hole over here. I find it, there's my finger, yeah. So when I shift it into reverse, it just goes into neutral. And it sure would be nice to have a back gear. It's kind of nice the way it is now because I got reverse on the motor, but it still don't reverse everything. Okay, going over to my other favorite tool. There's my plasma cutter I inherited when my dad died. I used the crap out of that on the rat rod. Don't do any of these tools any good to be in this dirt floor shed. Then I got my old Sears compressor. That's the only compressor I've ever owned since probably 1982 or 81. I give $100 for it, and the crankshaft pulley was loose, and it knocked like crazy. Somebody thought the owner thought the rod was going to go out of it. Here I tightened up that crankshaft pulley, and she's been good ever since. I think I probably had to make 4 or 5 head gaskets now. It's like blowing the head gaskets out. There's my old Airco stick welder. I inherited that from my father-in-law when he died. The mice like building nests and that. Every time I start welding, baby mice get carried out by the parents. Just waiting for that to start fire one of these days. And here's my next favorite tool. I bought this drill press at a flea market for $8. I didn't ever think I'd use it. It's got a big old drill on it. Factory made thing, I don't know who made it. But it's handier than hell. And it's got enough power it'll kill you if it grabs onto something. I've had that motor spin right up and just about clock me in the face. She's got some balls. She's a oldie but a goodie. As you can see by all the shavings around, she gets used a lot. Another thing I like about it, it's got a hand tightened chuck. You don't need no chuck wrench on it. This video is getting probably pretty shaky from out here in the cold. And there's my Delta bandsaw I bought down at Farm and Fleet. I use the shit out of that too. I just wish blades weren't so expensive because they're so easy to screw up doing the kind of cutting I try to do with it. And my most favorite tool out in the shed is the rat rod, because I use the shit out of that now, that record boom on there. Yeah, that old welded up chain made a pretty darn good boom. I know I picked up a couple, 2-3 ton with that already. So I'm going to shut down for now and make another video in the house where it ain't so cold to my other favorite tools. I built this shed by myself probably in 2001. Hauled it all home in my 3/4 ton Chevrolet pickup. Made the trusses all out of the short pieces of lumber. Hauled every piece of this shed home in my old 67 Chevy pickup. As you can see, I collect bolt motors also. I've got lots of them. If I find a bolt motor at a flea market, I just couldn't turn it down, so I had to drag them home to the car, over to the car, and sometimes 3-4 blocks away from the car. I don't know why I started collecting them, but I just did. Some guy come in and picked out what he wanted and gave me a few bucks for him. Not what I wanted, but I needed the money, so I let him go. Here's the 3-wheel bicycle. Got that all finished up and painted up. I did put the smaller sprocket on the front drive because it was going too slow, and now she handles really nice. Well, this is going to be an awful long video if I don't get in the house and record some other things for you. So long for now. We'll meet you in the house. Well, I finally made it in the house. Now I brought some tools down in the basement. Make some more tool movie here. I know this is supposed to be your favorite, but I've had so many different favorite tools. So hang on, I'll give you a show here. I got them kind of lined up here. Now every good Detroit mechanic should know what this is. That is an injector timing tool. I made a lot of money with that tool, setting injectors and tuning up Detroits. It's a thing of the past now. Every good Detroit mechanic probably had 3 or 4 of these. They had one for each different sized injector, and you stick this tip in the hole in the top of the injector. First you got the crankshaft down so the exhaust valves are all the way down, the injector's all the way up. Stick that in that hole in that injector, and then you raise the injector up till you're just rubbing the top of the injector. This is a 1.484. I can't see it, it's so rusty from not being used. Anyway, different injectors took different tools because it's different heights from here to here. I say that tool's made me a lot of money in my lifetime. This is for N65s, 318 Detroits, 671s. Then I got another tool here. I was always in the kind of the logging business, mechanic for logging. I've never worked for the public except the Ford garage when I graduated. 1973, I worked in the Ford garage for about 6 months. Started out as a car wash boy for $1.65 an hour, and they found out I could be a mechanic, and I knew my shit. So they gave me a dime raise and put me in the garage. This tool here is the other half of this wrench here. Sawed off with a hacksaw, bent without no heat. Wrenches don't saw very good with a hacksaw because it ruins the blade. Then broke off. This wrench saved my ass. I went out in the woods, put a clutch in the timberjack. It was a 220D skidder, and they put the engine and transmission in as one unit, I think, and built the skidder around it. So the only way to get at the transmission bolts was to put this on the bell housing bolt, or where the transmission bolted onto the bell housing, stick that down in there with my, reach down in as far as I could with my arm, put that on the bolts, and then take a bar against the frame and loosen them up like that. So that's one of my specialty tools. Here's another one here. This saved my ass a lot of times. This is just a bar stock I drilled, tapped out to 5/8 fine thread. I used to have a long bolt with threads all the way up. This is for pulling yokes off of rear ends and transmissions. Been revised a few times, ground down, moved around. That tool's made me a lot of money. Then you got this tool here. This is what you call an Eiffel wrench. I don't really use it, but I've had it as long as I can remember. I got it from my dad. This opens up and you slide the jaw to a wider position. It's got about 8 positions in it. The guy that invented the Eiffel Tower made that wrench. It's called the Eiffel wrench. You can see it got different positions. It moves just like a crescent wrench. If you open it up all the way, you can slide this out some. That's one of my favorite tools, like I never use it. Here we got this hammer. This is one of my favorite tools because I bought it brand new when I went up to work in Minneapolis for a trucking company. And I lost it. Never knew where I lost it at. Then one day I was working on the semi, I came back from New York. Here's my hammer laying up between the blower and the valve box, and the blower and the valve cover. She made the trip to New York and back. And here's another special tool. That's probably my favorite tool of all. This this crescent wrench was found underneath the valve cover of a Detroit diesel. You never know what you're going to find when you pull a valve cover off of Detroit. Well, I found this wrench and I've carried it in my back pocket for 30 years now, and you don't know how many trips to the toolbox this little wrench has saved me. You ought to try it sometime. You can fix so much stuff. If you always got that crescent wrench in your pocket, you don't know how many times you're going to use it, but you use it every day, 4 or 5 times a day without even thinking about it. You just reach there and there she is. And this is another good invention tool here. I don't know if I bought this from the Mac guy or Matco, I think. This is a tool for taking radiator hoses off around the neck. You get a hose that don't want to come loose, stick this point in there and go around the hose with it like that. And that is a lifesaver. That tool there has saved me many a top radiator hose, necks, outlets and inlets. That is a lifesaver, that tool there. This tool here is my favorite magnet. One day I was taking kingpins out of a DM Mack truck, and we had a tool made up of another kingpin, and we just drive that tool down through to drive the kingpins out. Well, kingpins aren't the thing to use for a tool or beating on with a hammer or a maul. And a piece of that kingpin flew off of that tool into my shoulder and went down under my skin, probably made a trail about 1/2 inch long or 3/4 of an inch long. Well, I didn't know what to do. It was bleeding like a stuck pig. I didn't want to go to the doctor and get it pulled out of there. So my buddy came along. I had my magnet lying there. He says, well, let's see if it works, if you can pick it up with the magnet. I said, I know it's there. It's bleeding to death. And he says, well, he stuck it up on my shoulder, And sure as shit, he could pick that piece of metal up and down in my skin, and he was wiggling it around. Pretty soon, poof, out the hole it came. So that saved me a trip to the hospital. That's why I like that magnet. Besides that, it's a good strong one. This tool I forgot to show you outside. This is a center for my lathe for the headstock end. I don't remember how I made this, but I made this on the lathe. I don't have no taper tools or anything, but I must have made it up so that you put this in behind the chuck, and then you got another center, so you got two centers to spin things on. So there's another thing I forgot to show you. I kind of like that. I'm kind of proud of that. That was just made out of piece of round shaft. Here's another tool that saved my ass. Don't see too many of these around. A chain wrench. You just put it around a piece of pipe, whatever. Hook the chain. This has got teeth in here. It bites down. You got big long bar. Works better than a pipe wrench, actually. That saved my ass a few times. Then another tool I made here. We got this Volkswagen jack, is what this is. Here's a handle for it, fits up inside there. Well, I took this Volkswagen jack. I've always, like I said, in the logging industry. And if anybody knows what it's like to put a set of bear claw chains on a skidder and get them tight, it's a hard job. So I made up this jack out of a Volkswagen jack. Got a hook here, a hook here, and you can hook it any place on the chain, jack her up, and you can get that chain tighter than a pedal string with these. If you try and use a come along or something, they always twist off to the side. But this is the best thing I've ever thought of for tightening up them skidder chains. Then you can back it off, just hit the other lever going down. You tighten her up tight as you can get her, put a shackle in there, and there you go. Then we got this other tool here. This is an arbor press. An old arbor press. I don't know if it's for riveting or what, but I made these dies for it. These brass dies. I got one in the top, one in the bottom. Well, I made that for pressing the frets in my homemade bass guitar, my homemade electric bass. I'll show you that in a second here. I know this is getting to be an awful long video, but I'm kind of combining a bunch that I missed. Well, here's the bass guitar I made. Here's the fretboard. I pressed these frets into the fretboard with it. Made them pick up. That's a piece off a aluminum valve cover for a 283 Chevy, I think. No, that's what the tag is. This is just a piece of aluminum channel iron. Anyway, I made this guitar because back in 96 or 97, a big windstorm came and blew just about every tree I had on the property down. And this was our cedar tree. I made this all out of red cedar, except the neck is made out of hard maple. Anyway, I had that cedar laying around, saved some of that tree, and I glued it all up, made this guitar out of some of it. Turned out pretty nice. It's so hard to get a good picture or anything. There, she looks really nice in that area there. All the grain of the cedar, and the cedar fingerboard in it. Made the neck, made the fingerboard, fretboard. I'll flip her over once here. Only thing I bought's the keys, them tuning pegs. All the rest is handmade on it. I don't know how good you can see this, but there's my serial number plate. I'll make a video of playing it someday. I just wanted to show this baby off. Really hard to get a good picture of it down in the basement. I'll get it back up a little bit here. Turned out really good. I'm proud of that one. Usually everybody makes a guitar, they buy a neck and everything, but I made this neck and everything from scratch. Made the pickup. I guess I bought the knobs. These here are tops off of door hinge pins where you hook the strap. So I know this is a long video. I'm going to shut this down. Or I'm going to show these two engines. I got shopdogsam, seeing how it picked me for my tool on the tag game. This is a Maytag twin that I took all the guts out of to put a carburetor on. I just got to put a carburetor on this tube here. I was going to put that on a bicycle, but I never got that done that far. Took the pins off it because she's going to be on air cooled on the bike. He'd probably jump up and down and say I killed her. And another engine I got, I want to show him that I don't have all the parts for. This is a cream separator engine. I've never seen one like it before. I don't have all the parts for it. I'm missing the magneto goes on this. Here's the cover for the back. The magneto sits on there and some cam gear. Whatever rides that gear in the back, I don't have that off the crankshaft. Anyway, I've seen them. I think I've seen one on the internet just like it, and they wanted $6,000 for the whole cream separator. I think it was. They're really rare. Don't know who makes it. You got pins in the flywheel. I don't have the gear parts for the valve train. I'm missing a lot of stuff. Well, that would be it for the tools, I guess. Oh, wait a second. I gave somebody crap because they didn't have their favorite tool. The VFH. You gotta have the VFH. This has smashed more of my fingers than I care to count on. That hammer's made me lots of money too. And this hammer here is my baby BFH. I was walking along the railroad tracks probably in 1964. I think I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I found this hammer laying on the tracks. And I've had that ever since. And I've done a lot of things with that hammer too. So you guys probably wish I would have never got tagged for these long videos here. I'm sorry I don't subscribe to most of you guys, but it just fills my inbox full of stuff on my YouTube page. I usually get to see pretty much everybody's video. I go by what Matt says. If Matt makes a comment, the Chiviaholic Matt, Chiviaholic, if he makes a comment on a video, it turns up on my page and I go check them videos out right away. Otherwise, I'd have so many videos on my page now, and YouTube has gotten so crappy with it. Now they even recommend my own videos to me. I think that's kind of stinks. Well, I hope you enjoyed the stories in the show of my tools, and I don't know who to tag. I don't know all you guys. I don't know who's done it or not. So if Matt or shopdogsam or somebody wants to pick 3 guys, I don't have any idea who's been picked so far. Like I say, I've been watching a lot of the videos, but I don't know who to pick because I'm really haven't been caught up in your garage gang, because I just sit back and watch videos. So hang in there. So long for now.